things aviation jobs is being supplied worldwide. Okay, if you calculate it, it is a worldwide thing. Now, if you still come down, dollar 2.7 trillion is the global economic impact. Okay, it could be direct, it could be induced or anything. This much money aviation is gaining for the world. Okay, direct jobs is your airport operators, on other car rental, airlines. All this is the jobs which is being given. So why they have just given you in a simple words, apart from giving you a written and all those huge words, you need to be just knowing what is the jobs available in that, in the global perspective. Okay, you need to be knowing what is the amount of job the airline is right now offering. Okay, so what is the GDP? How much of GDP is actually being supported by the aviation? If you could see here, global GDP supported by aviation is 3.6%. So this number you need to be remembering. Okay. Then okay. Now routes serve. How much routes does this aviation is serving is 45,091 routes they are serving. That is, they are flying to this many routes. They are calculating 4.1 billion passengers are carried in 2000. Sorry, in 2017. Okay, in 2018 it would be extended to 4.4 billion, but now it is 5.6 billion right now. Okay, so 41.9 million was the scheduled commercial aircrafts. Okay, in 2017. Now it has been increased much. Okay, if you could see these numbers, you need to be remembering. Okay, commercial airlines 1303, 170 air navigation. Okay, 3,759 airports with scheduled commercial flights. Okay, and 31,717 commercial aircraft service. In these four numbers you need to be remembering. What is the numbers you have for the commercial airlines? What is the numbers you have globally around? This is the global aviation. So around the world, how much of aviation commercial airlines is there around the world? How much of air navigation service providers are there? All these things you need to be knowing. So global aviation and tourism is actually based everything on numbers. So you need to be remembering the numbers. Air transport is a major global employer. Air transport industry supports around 65.5 millions of jobs, correct? So it is providing 10.2 million direct jobs. Okay, rest of the jobs is given for indirect and induced one, like your what do you say? Direct jobs is something where directly you are entering into an airline, working as an airline staff or things like that. But indirect and induced is something where you are working through an agency. Okay. And now let's say in the airports you can see people sweeping and things like that. Even if they say they're working in the airport, they are actually induced with an agency, right? So those kinds of jobs, 3.5 million jobs is the civil aerospace sector. 1.2 million people is given for the systems. 5.6 million is given for other airport positions. So in this way, the calculations it is an inclusion of direct, indirect and induced way. Okay, so approximately around 65.5 million people has been working in the airline industry. Now it's a go it air transport is actually a major contributor to global economic prosperity. How? Now, if we think usually it's because of the airline only. Most of the business has been growing up because of its fast movement, because of this, people time saving movement. Okay, people tend to travel regularly, so that is one of the global. It's a contributor to the global economic development. Okay, it's making more number of money, more number of passenger traveling, more number of taxes paid to the government, right? More number of money you get, money the airline get, the airline is paying to the taxes to the government. Great, government is also increasing. So it is one of the tremendous development in the aviation industry that it has become a global economic contributor. Okay, air transport invests sustainability in vital infrastructure. So it is growing up as a substantial one for following up the greatest infrastructure. If you could see the airport being built or things like that, you could see tremendous changes. Okay, the interior, you have a lot to learn. So it is one of the substantial growth in infrastructure is there. Significant social benefits. Now, how is the social benefits? You are able to know the humankind, right? You are able to understand the humankind. You are able to talk to them. Okay, you will come to know about their behavior, what is their likeness. Okay, socially, every human being should be social, right? So in this aviation industry, this makes to be like that. So if you say about customer service, you are interacting with the person. You know what a person is. You will understand the people. So it is giving you a social benefits. It's working to mitigate its environmental impact. So it is a kind of reducing its carbon dioxide production. As we know, carbon emissions is becoming too much in the aviation industry, but it is trying hard to make these particular things move down. Okay, so you just need to remember the major points. Don't read the entire one. If you have time, please do read it, because it's an interesting research made by the ICAO. So it's nice to read it. Okay, but I'm just telling you what the points states. So that's more than enough for you. Changes in trade policies will have a dent on future global benefits of aviation. So if I say, I I said you every day the policies, the procedures, the regulations are keeping on changing. So in that case, it provides a dent. That is, a dent is a mark, okay, a mark on the future of the aviation. That is, you never know. There might be an increment, and as and when the regulations change, also there will be. I mean, day by day, since the policies keep on changing, the airline will bring up with some of the other policies to interact as customers. So that is what is called as business centered, okay, business focused, where even if your government policies has been coming up with a less growth, the airline will match up with something. Okay, they will make up with something to attract the customers. Okay, now that could be reducing of the pricing, there could be a discount or anything. They could come up with something. Now, this is the regional and group analysis. If you could see, Africa, Asia Pacific, and Europe has been taken, okay, according to the IATA. So if you could see, in Africa, there are 6.2 million jobs, okay, given by the air transport. If you see in Asia, it is 30.2 million jobs, okay. So Asia is standing the first, Asia Pacific standing the one, and if you see the Europe is giving 12.2 million jobs by the air. So Asia Pacific is the one which is giving the highest job from the aviation. If you see, Asia Pacific share of global passenger traffic is in 2017 is 37%. So we have a huge population who is working in the aviation industry. Okay. Latin America 8%, Middle East 4%, North America 23%. This is the jobs. Okay, this is the employment given to the employers. In the aviation industry. Now, how is the growth been happening? Okay, now in this PDF only, your future perspective topic is also been hidden up. So if you read this PDF only, it is more than enough. Or I said I have another PDF for future perspective, which is actually totally done by the aviation. Totally done by the ICAO. Very interesting research topic. So if you have time, I will paste that also, okay, in your website. So if you have time, go through it. It is very interesting to read it. But I am taking together in this. In this PDF only, the future perspective also. Okay. Now, a growth industry is where your next topic lies, the future perspective. Okay. Now, what would be the future of aviation with 20 years? Now, from the year 20 years, beyond 20 years, what would be the future? Okay. Contribution of the air transport industry in 20 years' time. Okay. So, several of the world's largest aircraft manufacturers, including Airbus, Boeing, Bombardier, and Embraer, uses revenue passenger kilometers. Okay, RPK. Unit equals 1 kilometer traveled by revenue passenger. To calculate the future demand for air transport, a conservative analysis has been taken. So 4.3% annum is being taken for next 20 years. So what they have done is usually all the aircraft manufacturers, that is Airbus, Boeing, Bombardiers, all this is aircraft manufacturers, right? If you could see, they say that, this is Airbus 380, this is Boeing 777. So those are the manufacturer of the aircraft. So what they do is usually they calculate an aircraft seat with RPK, which is revenue passenger kilometers. RPK, they calculate it with the unit equals. Okay, so what they have done is for the next 20 years they would be bringing up with more number of aircrafts. Okay, increasing their seat length, increasing their seat size, increasing their seat numbers. Okay, by 4.3%. So within 20 years, we could expect that these manufacturers are working on bringing up even more huger aircrafts. Okay, till now it is Airbus 380 and Boeing 777 is standing in the first place because these are the huger but within 20 years they have a plan that they could make up or bring up with heavier and huger aircrafts, even more with more number of seating capacities, with more number of cargo holdings. Okay, so which could fly even for huger destinations. Now, developing a sustainable future is something where, since this basically goes for an ICAO has to set up with certain rules. They have a plan to reduce the fuel, rate, because for us, if you calculate in the aviation industry, fuel is one of the horrible thing which we are facing, because fuel charges are so high for the aircraft. Okay, so they are bringing up a set of schemes to be reduced by the by the ICAO. So ICAO needs to be implemented. They are working operationally, they are working infrastructurally, more number of facility development, okay, in the airport, more number of commercial development should be happening inside the airport for the passengers to take rest, or let's say the spas, let's say the parlors, all these kind of things needs to be brought up in the airport. So in the operation wise also, how could you increase your customer service, how could you help your passengers, all these kinds of set of rules, regulations are being reframed by the ICAO. Okay, they are trying to get even more detached to the rules, and for how to handle a little more carefully for the dangerous goods. How can we reduce the accidents, how can we reduce the incidents? All these types of things are being calculated by the ICAO. So they are working on the set of rules, set of regulations, what could be done. Okay, now as I said, fuel is one of the intensive one. Okay, 80% of the less carbon intensive over their life cycle, and work is already well underway to commercialize them. So they are actually already planned for it. Okay, so might be in the next upcoming convention or in the next upcoming next upcoming sort of surveys or anything, they could render up stating that there might be a possibility of reducing the fuels, and how could they move, how could they sustainably take this aviation industry without any problem. So aviation industry is something which never ends. Okay, it keeps on growing, but it does not degrade. So it is something, there's no degrowth in aviation, it is always growth in aviation. Okay, even if there is an haltage coming in the middle also, this would wind up, or this would start up very quickly, because this is the only means where you could fly to another destination with a less time. So everywhere, they opt for airlines, okay, because this is a newly developed technology, and this gives opportunities for the manufacturers to develop more aircrafts. Okay, more and more aircrafts, more and more passengers traveling, more and more cargo, more and more destinations. So that's all is their concept. Okay, that's all is their future perspective, that they need to be developing their industry with more number of facilities, with more number of aircrafts, okay, with more number of passengers. But everywhere there lies a question stating that, as in, how would the fuel rise so much? So they are trying to at least decrease it, okay. They might have a discussion with any of the companies also. So Indian Oil is the one which actually supplies for in the India. Uh, so everywhere they might have a discussion, or they might get into a partnership or any such kind of thing. Like government make up a rule, and they are framing a framework, and we possibly expect that to happen within next 20 years. Okay, now in the fragmented world, a significant shift in global trade policy. Okay, if we think of that, there is a multilateral agreements and bilateral agreements. Bilateral agreements, I told you, it's actually an agreement between two countries, right? Now India is getting agreed with USA that they need we need to be using your airspace. We would be flying into your country. Okay, so it is accepted by both the government. Okay, if an US aircraft needs to be flying into India, then of course it should get the Indian government's permission. So they are actually trying to build up a multilateral one, okay, more of connecting aircrafts, more of transit aircrafts, okay, not from one destination to another destination. A direct flight is actually tiring. If you could see, for example, Air India flies from India to UK, and it's a 16 hours journey. Oh my God, 16 hours in one single aircraft is horrible. Okay, so usually people tend to take up the transit flights. Okay, they it's like, from Bangalore to Dubai, Dubai to UK, in that way. For USA also, it is 16 hours to 17 hours journey from it's via direct route. Okay, it's being horrible. The entire day you're losing up in the aircraft. So what they do is, they are actually planning out with a multilateral one. Okay, if there's a possibility, then we could land here, make our passengers stay for 1 or 2 hours, make them take a rest or things like that, and the very next day the journey. So this is how they are actually planning. This is just for the customer service they are doing it. Okay, as and when the customers get happy, as and when your business rise up. Okay, that's how your flourishment of your business takes place. So they have a plan of multilateral agreements going upon, and with the retaliated tariff. So if you could say, people tend to take up with thinking on the taxes, right? Oh my God, if I'm going to getting in that country, I have to pay a lot of tax and that, this and all. So even aircraft needs to be thinking. I already told you, for parking, landing, taxiing, for everything, you will have to be paying charges for the airports. So in this case also, when you will have to hold the aircraft for some time, of course you need to be paying that much for the airports. So in that case also, they need to be thinking upon the tax reduction. So they need to be having a meeting with the teams and for a tax reduction. The exit of countries from exiting regional trade and travel facilitation agreements, and the reduction in migration. So they always think that if at all there is an exit policies being coming up, it should be based on the business. Okay, most of the business travelers could be traveling there, apart from the migration. No further liberalization in air markets, and even more restrictive policies. So they don't want, till now, they don't want any such sort of restrictive policies onto the airline, okay, bought by any government, because they had already lost some in the last 2019. Okay, from 2019, from 2020 and all, they lost a lot of things because of this COVID. So they don't want to even more implicate or complicate the process by even putting up more of restrictive policies onto the airline. Okay, now that could be your future perspective. I said you have another okay, you have another PDF also, which I clearly told you that would be your future perspective. Okay, your future perspective is actually taken by, I'll show you that PDF once. You see that it's the same. Yeah, this is the PDF, which is of 16 sheets. Okay, it's actually done by International Civil Organization. A very very cute, kind of uh, research which they have done. So you can just read this. Okay, it's an introduction. This is the contents. What is there? Introduction, aviation role, ICAO activities across the sustainable development agenda, collaborative efforts towards sustainability. So how for sustaining this particular aviation industry, what are the steps they would be taking? So that's the one. It's a nice research thing. So this is the ICAO Secretary General, Mr. Raymond Benjamin. So if you have time, it's all in points. So if possible, please to read this once because it's a beautiful one. Okay. Okay, this is what they try. They are planning to bring up actually the sustainable cities. Okay, wherever there is no aircrafts, they are planning to move on to those particular with an aircraft. Okay, whichever it could be for culture purpose, recreational purpose. Where there is no aircrafts, ICAO would love to take it for a sustainable aircraft cities as such. Disaster readiness, that is they are ready to be placing an aircraft for emergency aid if at all they want to quickly move on for an emergency concept. Then disaster readiness team would be taking care of it. Jobs and poverty eradication, they want to provide more of jobs to the people. Energy is like your liquid fuels, like your solar power. They are trying to use more of the solar powers and things like that. If you think of the airport also, we have an airport which uses the solar power. The CIL airport, the Cochin International Airport, it uses the solar power in the morning. Okay, so their entire electrical thing has been running on the solar powers. Okay, so more of less of an energy consumption, electrical energy consumption is less there. So this is how they plan to bring up new procedures, new policies. Okay, so even now I believe other airports are also planning upon the solar energy, implementing of solar energy. So the first airport which brought this into action was the Cochin International Airport. Okay, finance, it is actually a profitable industry. Okay, international governance, green economy. So in this thing, they have given as a as a point, so which will make you to learn what is the future perspective of ICAO. If you could see social and economic pillars, environmental pillar, technological operations. So all this is the future developments. Okay, so it's the same thing what I told you in the okay, same thing I told you in the older concept. Okay, it's the same thing which again and again repeats up. So I believe I have one more. I have actually, take up some of the benefits reports also. So it's just for your notification. Okay, if you guys want to read it, then you can read it, or if you guys want to ignore it, you can do that also. So this is the future benefits of what till now what the aviation has brought into the world. Okay, so in 2019, this was a report conducted by, if you could see, these many teams. So it's Airport Council International ACI, CANZO, IATA, ICAO, and ICC-AIA. So these were the departments which came together and formed this report. So they have released this report recently, and this report was in 2019, but they have released this report recently. So you can read this. It's an important information. Okay, if you want to know about the benefits of the aviation industry, whatever they have bought in inside our country, okay, inside the world, globally. So since your topic is based globally, so globally, what they have bought inside the country, what is the economic development they have bought inside the country, what is their plans for 20 years. Okay, so they keep up everything as 20 years. They don't keep up for 5 years. Okay, so ICAO always tends to keep up for 20 years. So within 20 years, we would like to be there. We would like to be there. So that's how their calculation goes. So everything is being given in the PDF. So quickly you can go through that and know that. So is there any doubt in this global aviation and future? Any
No,
doubts,
ma'am.
guys? Okay, please do. I believe Moitza would be pasting the entire notes today. That's what he said me. So please go through your notes because we have completed your portions. Okay, we have completed your entire portions.
Of chapter
So,
1, ma'am?
huh? What did you ask, Mushraf?
Ma'am,
Mushraf,
have
you're
you
asking.
completed chapter 1?
I have completed your portions, I said. Then how will I complete chapter 1?
I mean, like,
This was
whole
this was your
introduction
chapter
part, right?
4, Mushraf. You're sleeping or what?
Ma'am, no, ma'am, like, introduction part, like, the whole aviation introduction part or what, ma'am? Because in our preparatory, the syllabus was like aviation introduction part, the whole syllabus was there.
Yeah, aviation introduction part is your first chapter. Then your second chapter would be your aviation operations, which I told you, your check-in, your baggage handling, all those things comes under your chapter 2, which is aviation operations. Then comes your tourism, which is your chapter 3, tourism, introduction of tourism, evaluation of tourism, all those things comes under chapter 3. And chapter 4 is your aviation and tourism, which is your global perspective, your passport, your visas, your travel documents. All this is chapter 4.
I thought in chapter 1, all the subunits were there, ma'am. But okay, ma'am. No problem.
No, 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 no,
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay.
no. Okay, so whatever is important to you guys at this stage, I have given you only that much. Okay, I don't want to mess up your head with lots and lots of things because it's really complicated. Okay, so it is always good that you learn from ABCD. Okay, not from the apple ball and all. Okay, I don't want that. So it is always good first you know ABCD, then you get to know what A4 is. Okay, so
Okay, ma'am.
whatever should be implemented at this stage, I have given you that much. Okay, so later on if we have the subjects, then we will discuss deeply of every subject. So this is just an introduction for you for the topic, for the process, what and all could be happening, what can be happening, what could be happening. All those things was a process, whatever I told you. So we have completed your chapter 4. So today please go through your entire